Everyone, there's someone in our meeting whose name is Haley P. And we don't know who that is. So can you tell us who you are?
Anyone?
You're breaking up. We started to hear something and then lost the audio.
Yes, hi, I'm here on behalf of Jada Tuitt.
Oh, okay. Is Jada there?
Pretty sure she should be.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
I'm going to go back to Haley and say, is Jada, because I see Jada has an audio and a video. Oh, wait, the video just disappeared. Because we only allow people in our meeting who are invited guests. So if Jada's going to be using your computer, she can log on whenever she gets there, but otherwise we can't have you in the meeting. I'm sorry.
No, I understand. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Chair Franklin, just to let you know, we are close to a quorum, but not quite there yet.
How many people are we missing to get a quorum?
Well, people are being admitted, very quickly. So let me take a quick look here. We might be ready now. Yes, we do have a quorum now. We are still missing quite a few of our regular attendees, but we do have a quorum.
So what? What are you going to do now?
Okay, so if we have a quorum, we will go ahead and get started. I will now call this meeting to order, and I will start with the electronic meeting notice. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic and related state of emergency, and as set forth in the Commission's Resolution 20-05-01 from the May 7th, 2020 meeting, we are meeting remotely again this month. The public access is being provided by live streaming the meeting on PRTC's YouTube channel. This information was on PRTC's website, Facebook page, and at the Transit Center, as well as being advertised in Inside Nova and the Freelance Star. We will follow the same meeting process as before. Please state your name when speaking. I will introduce each item, then ask for a motion and a second. I will repeat the names of who made the motion and second. I will then ask each jurisdiction if there are any comments or questions from their representatives on the item. I will then ask Christine Rodrigo to take the vote by roll call. Commissioners who need to leave the meeting, should verbally advise me prior to leaving so we can ensure we will have a quorum and the time can be reflected in the meeting minutes. With that, I will now move to item 2, which is the invocation. If we will please bow. Thank you for the opportunity to come again to serve our commuter community. We thank you for the ability to continue to move through even as we recover from the pandemic. We thank you for all of our transportation employees, whether it be the bus drivers, our operators, or those working in management and on IT systems. We thank you for the ability to continue to serve our county, and we ask that you just continue to hold us strong as we move forward. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. And we will now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Our pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll now move into item 3. Christine, please call the roll.
Victor Angry,
Here.
Andrea Bailey, Kenny Bodie, Margaret Franklin,
Here.
Janine Lawson,
Here.
Yesley Vega,
Here.
Pete Canland, Maggie Hansford, Kalai Kandasamy, Kim Short,
Present.
Benny Smith,
Here.
Ann Wheeler. Because we have Andrea Bailey and Kenny Bodie haven't joined us yet, I will ask Kim Short to be the substitute for Andrea Bailey and Benny Smith to be the substitute for Kenny Bodie. When they arrive, you will go back to being non-voting alternates. Although I've just received a text message that Kalai Kandasamy has just joined us. Is that true? Mr. Kandasamy, are you there?
Yes, I just joined.
Thank you. So we still will have Ms. Short substituting for Ms. Bailey and Mr. Smith substituting for Kenny Bodie. Thank you. Stafford County, Tanisha Allen, Cindy Shelton, Meg Bumke, Thomas Cone. City of Manassas, Pamela Sebeski, Ralph Smith.
Present.
City of Manassas Park, Jeanette Rischel. Here. Preston Banks, Alana Mensing, Daryl Moore.
Present.
Because Jeanette Rischel is with us, Daryl Moore will serve as a non-voting alternate. From the City of Fredericksburg, Matthew Kelly.
Here.
And Jason Graham. From Spotsylvania County, Deborah Frazier.
Here.
Gary Skinner, Tim McLaughlin, David Ross. From DRPT, Jennifer Mitchell, Jennifer DeBrule.
Here.
Todd Horsley,
Here.
and Steve Pittard. Because I believe Ms. DeBrule is going to be here just for the presentation and then leave to do another presentation for NVTC. Although she is here, she's not voting with us tonight, and Mr. Horsley will be the commissioner who's the voting member. From the House of Delegates, Lee Carter and Elizabeth Guzman.
Here.
And from the Senate, George Barker.
Here.
Madam Chair, we do have a quorum.
Okay, we will now move into item 4, approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Moved by, I believe, Mr. Kelly. Is there a second?
Ralph Smith, second.
And seconded by Mr. Smith. Are there any questions from Prince William County, Stafford County, City of Manassas, Manassas Park, Fredericksburg,
No questions.
Pennsylvania?
No questions.
Christine, will you please call the roll?
Victor Angry,
Aye.
Margaret Franklin,
Aye.
Janine Lawson,
Sorry, aye.
Yesli Vega,
Aye.
Kim Short,
Aye.
Benny Smith.
Aye.
Ralph Smith,
Yes.
Jeanette Rischel,
Yes.
Matthew Kelly,
Yes.
Deborah Frazier,
Yes.
Todd Horsley,
Yes.
Elizabeth Guzman,
Aye.
George Barker.
Aye.
Madam Chair, that resolution is approved.
We will now move into item 5, approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from April 1st?
This is Ralph Smith. I move the approval of the minutes from April 1st.
Motion made by Mr. Smith, seconded by
Second from Rischel.
Vice Chair Rischel. Is there any discussion from Prince William County, Stafford County, City of Manassas, Manassas Park, Fredericksburg,
Nope.
Spotsylvania?
None.
Forgot to mention before, DRPT
No.
or the General Assembly? Christine, will you please call the roll?
Victor Angry,
I'm gonna abstain.
Margaret Franklin,
Aye.
Janine Lawson,
Aye.
Yesli Vega,
Aye.
Kim Short,
Abstain.
Benny Smith,
Aye.
Ralph Smith,
Yes.
Jeanette Rischel,
Yes.
Matthew Kelly,
Yes.
Deborah Frazier,
Aye.
Todd Horsley,
Yes.
Elizabeth Guzman,
Aye.
George Barker.
Yes.
Madam Chair, that resolution is approved.
Okay, we will now move into item 6, presentations and information. I'll turn it over to Jennifer DeBrule with DRPT to go over the Springfield to Quantico Enhanced Public Transportation Feasibility Study.
Thank you, Chair Franklin and members of the Commission. It's a pleasure to be here tonight to give you a briefing on our Springfield to Quantico Enhanced Public Transportation Feasibility Study. Next slide, please. So just to give you a little bit of background, this study was envisioned and established by a 2020 budget amendment that directed DRPT to conduct a feasibility study. That budget language is there on the screen. It was very specific. The study itself must be completed by December 1st of this year. And as part of the study, we're looking at a range of multimodal transit investments as we look at the feasibility of different options. In terms of our study outcomes, we are conducting a very comprehensive, objective evaluation, as I mentioned before, of a range of potential future enhanced transit alternatives. We're looking at costs, benefits, and impacts of each of these options to inform recommendations about future investment in the corridor. We're not looking to make necessarily a specific modal recommendation, but to inform future decision-making about investments in high-capacity transit in the corridor. Next slide. So our study area is a big swath between Franconia, Springfield, and then the Stafford County line, Stafford-Prince William line on the south end, primarily focused at looking at the 95 corridor. Now, while this is our study area in terms of looking at specific alternatives within this study area, obviously we're capturing the travel movements of the entire region and not just limiting our look at the travel movements within this particular study area. So I do want to point out we have a number of projects that are already underway in this particular study area as well, including the Richmond Highway BRT, which is shown in yellow, and then the Transforming Rail in Virginia enhancements in the VRE corridor. Next slide. So in terms of the key issues that we're looking at with the study, we want to evaluate our existing and future transit demand, look at other planned transportation improvements in the corridor, and this particular corridor is one that has been studied a great deal from a multimodal perspective, so we do have a lot of information to lean into. What I think makes this study unique is that we're also looking at plans for transit supportive development or land use patterns in the study area. That's a little bit out of the norm for a traditional transit study, but we're We're going to take a deeper dive in terms of looking at some different land use scenarios. We want to make sure we're looking at access to both Fort Belvoir and Quantico, and the short and long-term needs and trends in transit ridership and telecommuting. Most of our data is going to be pre-COVID, so we're going to have to look at some different scenarios, but those trends are important to informing what our future scenarios might look like. We also have to look at Metro Rail system capacity issues like core capacity on the existing Metro Rail system and capacity issues at the Roslyn Tunnel. In looking at our different alternatives, we have to look at the capital and operating costs of the different types of investments. And we also have to look at funding and governance issues related to the WMATA Compact. Next slide. In terms of our technical approach, we are taking a little bit of a different approach than we normally do in this type of study, in that we have two parallel tracks. We have our overarching project needs statement, which I've talked about a little bit already, and then we start to head down two paths. We have a more traditional transit study where we're looking at transit alternatives and testing those alternatives in terms of ridership and cost. But we're also, the arrows shown in green, we're also looking in a parallel track at some different land use scenarios and really doing some what if type analysis, looking at different planned growth patterns, activity centers, areas of opportunity for station areas where density could really support high capacity transit, and then doing some testing of those land use scenarios. Both of those tracks will come back together in terms of making some recommendations regarding the feasibility of high capacity transit investments in the corridor. Next slide. One of the things that we have done as we started this study, working with a technical advisory committee that's staffed by your staff and by PRTC staff and others from within the region, stakeholders within the region, is to really document why we need enhanced public transportation in the corridor. And what you see on the screen reflects those conversations with our stakeholders. We really are looking for transit service that's competitive, that's high quality, that supports future development in the corridor, that addresses equity considerations and connects low-income and minority populations to jobs, connections to activity centers, helps alleviate traffic congestion and reduce travel times, and then just provide good overall access, or has good overall access, whether it's a park and ride, a pedestrian access, or the types of amenities that are provided for those that are using the system. Next slide. So we're working with our consultant team. We started with a corridor land use assessment, and as we're looking at this, we're trying to identify some hubs or potential areas of density where we could have potential transit stations. This is really being built off of the Commonwealth Multimodal System Design Guidelines, which is a document that DRPT actually just updated last year, that looks at this combination of transportation and land use, so we can develop some different land use scenarios and make some recommendations. As we walk through the land use side of this process, we are going to be working closely with the local governments, and we anticipate having some work sessions and coming out of this land use side of the process with some transit supportive policy recommendations and some illustrative diagrams that the counties can use in evaluating their comprehensive plan as they go forward, and in turn have the potential to help inform some of their local land use decision making. Next slide. So we will be developing some conceptual land use scenarios. In doing that, we're going to take a deeper dive around 10 potential station locations, looking at how we can, through this planning process, support the local comprehensive planning process, looking at future land use and zoning, and doing some analysis and some visualization around building and place types. Next slide. So on the transit side, and I always get nervous when we start showing lines on a map, because these are illustrative lines for feasibility testing. It is our opportunity to to run some scenarios through a more traditional transportation planning model and look at some different scenarios. And so what we have developed in working with our advisory committee and our stakeholders, and what we shared with the public in a public meeting earlier this week, were a few different alternatives that we want to look at as part of the study in terms of feasibility. One of the main reasons I think the study was initiated was to look at an extension of the Blue Line Metro Rail. That is one of the scenarios we're looking at. We're also looking at a potential extension of the Yellow Line Metro Rail, bus rapid transit alternatives, increased frequency along the existing VRE alignment, and this would be frequency that is greater than what is planned as part of the Transforming Rail in Virginia initiative. And then we're also looking at some express bus options. So wide range of different alternatives that we are carrying into our feasibility testing process. Next slide. Mentioned express bus briefly already, but looking at some origin destination pairs that make sense for enhanced express bus as another alternative to address congestion in the corridor. Next slide. So in terms of public outreach is a very important component of this study. And so we do want to make sure that as a study team, we are working to engage our stakeholders in the process. That includes communicating with the public. We have a project website, fact sheet, and information that's on that public web page already. We currently have a survey that's open to get feedback from the public on potential alternatives that we should be looking at. That survey will be open until the 17th of this month. We've already had over 600 responses to that survey. So that public engagement is important, but we're also, as I mentioned, working with a broad base of stakeholders on the local government side, with the counties, PRTC, also the Northern Virginia Transportation Commission. We've had good participation from the Department of Defense, and also VRE and WMATA. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, we do have a technical advisory committee. That group is meeting monthly to provide input and review any of our materials and provide feedback and direction as the study is taking shape. As we are working on our public outreach, and we held our first public meeting earlier this week, we are looking to provide multiple opportunities for education and engagement across the study area. We are open to, we're willing to go talk to anybody. So if there is a group or a community that you hear of that would like to have a briefing on the study or like to talk to us in more detail, please just let us know, because we do want to make sure we're engaging everybody and that we incorporate tools into our process to reach everyone. We had on Tuesday night, we had translation available, we had closed captioning, we had a lot of resources available, and had reached out through our communications team really to engage the grassroots communities to try to get folks to come out. And it can be challenging to get folks engaged in a study of this type that is looking so far out into the future. We're also having regular elected officials briefings. We had one about a month ago. We're looking to schedule the next elected officials briefing towards the end of this month, but that is another opportunity to get information and to get feedback from our elected officials on the study as it progresses. Next slide, please. So in terms of schedule, I mentioned already that our report is due to the General Assembly by December 1st of this year, which means we are in the thick of the study right now, working on those transit and land use alternatives, gaining public input. So we're in that first round of public meetings and then surveys and engagement right now. That will ramp up again this summer as we work through the alternatives development and evaluation phase of the study, looking at cost and benefits of the different alternatives and looking in more detail at land use scenarios. So expect to see and hear more from us this summer as we are working towards completing draft recommendations by September. And then we would certainly love to come back to PRTC at any point in time and brief you on the study as it does progress. And I believe that will be my last slide. I am happy to take any questions. Tim Roseboom is our project manager for the study, and he is available and willing to talk to anybody who would like to have a more detailed briefing on the study, as am I. So happy to take any questions you might have.
Madam
Okay,
Chair, Senator Barker.
Yeah, actually, what I like to do is just go through each county so we can
Okay.
just keep it organized.
Right.
So are there any comments or questions from Prince William County?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, this Supervisor Anger. I just want to say this is very exciting to hear. So I'm happy that we're having this discussion. So I know it's been on the books for a long time. So great presentation. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments or questions from Prince William County? And I'll reserve mine to the very end.
Yes, Madam Chair, this is Supervisor Bailey.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I echo my colleagues' sentiments. This is very exciting, long time coming, and I love the fact that the word Quantico is on the presentation and that it's in my district. So thank you, Jennifer, for presenting to us. We really appreciate it and total support. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other questions or comments from Prince William County? Okay, Stafford County,
No questions.
City of Manassas,
No questions.
Manassas Park,
No questions. Great presentation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Fredericksburg,
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just more out of curiosity, seeing that the vast majority of our population to the south of Quantico is basically part of this in the commuter situation, why was it the choice to stop at the Stafford line in doing this study? It seems like it kind of cuts off part of the area that is directly involved in moving people through the northern jurisdictions.
Mr. Kelly, that's a great question. We actually briefed FAMPO staff a week or so ago and then engaged with them about some of those similar points. And I think the real struggle when you start talking about particularly a metro rail extension is you have to have a significant amount of population density to make that work. And so as we head south of Quantico, you start to get into areas where in the foreseeable realm, we're not talking about that kind of density, but certainly we're accounting for the trips that do come from Fredericksburg North as we're looking at different alternatives and how those folks could be accounted for and assisted in their travels with the alternatives that we're looking at. So you're not left out, but you're included in the traffic projections as well.
okay. Any other questions from Fredericksburg? Spotsylvania,
None.
okay. General Assembly,
Senator Barker here.
yes.
Yes. Well, I'm as not only a senator representing a good bit of this area coming down from Springfield all the way into a good bit of Prince William County, and also being the chair of the Transportation Subcommittee, the Senate Finance Committee. I'm very pleased with the progress that's being made on this and the approaches that are being taken to try to be able to give us as much information as would be possible that can help guide us in the future in making decisions on how we proceed on this. I think that the inclusion of the land use options is critical here. And I think I'm very pleased that the approach that DRPT is taking there is to have those things, those types of options be looked at, and with consultation from the jurisdictions that are most directly impacted by this there. And also to look at it not just in terms of a cost perspective, but also what are the benefits that we will be getting out of this study. And I think sometimes in the past we've sort of had just the cost figures and the revenues that might be generated, but not other benefit factors. And I think what's being done here is very good. I will give credit to Senator Searville sort of helping push this issue along. And he's not on the Senate Finance Committee, so he and I worked together on it, but he was certainly a motivating force for getting this done and moving us in this direction. And I think now is the time to be able to start to take a look at it. We obviously have some little bit of uncertainty coming out of the pandemic shutdowns and everything, and its impact upon transit ridership. But I think that we can probably pretty safely assume that we're going to get a strong rebound in transit ridership if we have the services that are available that will get people to where they need to go. And so I'm very pleased with what I've been hearing and what you've done with the elected officials already with the meeting that I think was held back in March. So look forward to continuing to work with you on this project.
That's
Thank
great.
you,
Thank you,
Senator
Senator
Barker.
Certainly.
Ms. DeBrule, did you have any comments to that?
No, I just appreciate the support we've had from Senator Barker and Senator Searville. And as a transportation professional, I don't often get to work in a study that includes the land use options because there's usually a little bit of a line there. And so this is an opportunity for us to get really creative in working with our local government partners to look at some different scenarios to provide a really strong transit future in the corridor. So we appreciate that.
That's great. And then anyone else from the General Assembly? And just very quickly from myself, I couldn't really see the photos in some of the slides, but just wanted some clarity. Are you all looking at strictly the Route 1 corridor, or are you looking at some of the other avenues kind of close, such as the 95 corridor, or even some of the other major roads that kind of lead into Route 1, leading to Quantico?
Chair Franklin, that's a great question. We are looking at everything within the polygon of a study area. So we're not focused solely on Route 1 or solely on 95. We're really looking at what are the major activity centers and the connection points and what's the best way to serve those. So not constrained to one specific corridor.
Okay, thank you. Did you have anything else to add, Mr. Brule?
We will provide to Christine a link to the survey, and I would just ask that if you would share that link to the survey with your constituents, we'd appreciate it. We really want to get, we've already had a really strong response to the survey, but survey stays open for about another week and a half, and we would love to hear from more folks as that wraps up.
That's great. Thank you so much. So with that, we will now move into item 7, the Virginia Railway Express update from Mr. Rich Dalton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, Commission members and others. You have the VRE CEO report and update memo in your packet, so I will just speak to the highlights. VRE continues to operate at a reduced level of service, which is referred to as our S+ schedule. And just numerically, that is 18 trains out of the 32 daily trains that operate under full service. Just to let you know, the Transportation Security Administration is extending, or TSA, is extending the face mask requirement for individuals across all transportation networks throughout the United States, including at airports, onboard commercial aircraft, on over-the-road buses, and on commuter bus and rail systems through September 13th. TSA's initial face mask requirement went into effect February 1st. With an expiration date of May 11th. So that's now been extended, or will be extended. Ridership for the month of April, we continue to see daily ridership gradually increase up to over 1,500 average daily riders, and still climbing. Our on-time performance for the month of April was 93% system-wide. And then just back to the ridership real quick, we've been monitoring ridership and other factors such as reopening of federal agencies and other employers, and continue to see those projections indicate that the return of riders, say, starting modestly after the Memorial Day weekend, with the return accelerating after Labor Day. And as I reported at the April Operations Board meeting, we have been receiving feedback directly from our riders that indicates the current reduced level of service has caused them to seek other means to commute. But we'll come back to VRE once we return to a full schedule, or again, 32 daily trains. Just for example, we are currently conducting a social media survey of former VRE riders. And I believe to date, the number we've reached is about 400, but 57% of those respondents indicate that they would use VRE to commute when VRE returns to a full service schedule. And another 31% said they would return as well once their employers reopen their offices. So with all that input, I'm currently working with our staff, host railroads, contracted service providers, and others to target a return to full service. We have a target date out there of June 1st, but we're continuing to monitor that. And of course, I will formally announce that at the appropriate time. I will say our post or the survey also attracted comments from our current riders, virtually all of whom favored a return to full service. And I do want to say I appreciate the help of jurisdictional communication staff and operations board members who posted or shared this survey. That's the end of my report, Madam Chair.
Okay, are there any questions for Mr. Dalton from Prince William County?
No questions, Madam Chair.
Okay. Any other questions from Stafford County?
No questions.
City of Manassas?
No questions.
Manassas Park?
No questions, Madam Chair.
Fredericksburg?
No questions.
Spotsylvania?
No questions.
DRPT?
No questions.
And General Assembly?
No questions.
Okay. We now will move into item 7.2, authorization of the VRE CEO to execute the amended and restricted operating access and master lease agreement with CSX Transportation. Rich, did you want to give a brief description?
Yes, Madam Chair. So what we're seeking here is your authorization to amend the amended and restated operating access agreement and the amended master lease agreement. And this reflects changes to the contractual relationship between the commissions and CSX Transportation resulting from the right-of-way acquisition by the Commonwealth. Simply put, CSX will continue to dispatch and maintain both CSX and the Commonwealth-owned tracks, resulting in a seamless operation for VRE. Of course, the commissions will continue to lease station property from CSX that's not part of the acquisition by the Commonwealth. Just generally speaking, the terms and conditions of this new agreement are not substantially different, but there are from past agreements, but there are some differences. This agreement, there's agreements between VRE and the Commonwealth, the Comprehensive Rail Agreement, the Joint Operations and Maintenance Agreement between those two parties, and those are incorporated into this agreement. The term of our proposed agreement with CSX is no longer in 5-year increments. It would be coterminous with that Joint Operations and Maintenance Agreement I mentioned before, which is currently 100 years or unless terminated sooner. So again, no longer doing these types of agreements in 5-year increments kind of creates a little bit of permanence for us, or does create permanence for us. The contract fee is basically remains the same. Under the master lease agreement, the station leases, again, with the division of the corridor, particularly south of Alexandria, there's still, or south of Franconia Springfield, there's still elements of the VRE operation in the form of land that remain on the CSX right-of-way. And so those will be captured in the master lease agreement. And as The previous agreements, we paid on a per location basis. In this agreement, we'll no longer pay rent on these locations, and some future expansions or future locations. And but these locations will be documented in the agreement. So that's my review, Madam Chair.
Okay, before there are questions or comments, is there a motion to move this item forward?
So moved, Madam Chair. Andrea Bailey.
Moved by Supervisor Bailey. Is there a second?
Second from Manassas Park.
Seconded by Vice Chair Rischel. Are there any questions or comments from Prince William County?
No questions, ma'am.
Are there any questions from Stafford County? City of Manassas?
No questions, Madam Chair.
Manassas Park?
No questions, Madam Chair.
Fredericksburg?
No questions.
Spotsylvania?
No questions.
DRPT?
No questions.
General Assembly?
No questions.
Christine, will you please call the roll?
Victor Angry,
Aye.
Andrea Bailey,
Aye.
Margaret Franklin,
Aye.
Janine Lawson,
Aye.
Yesley Vega. I'm sorry, I didn't hear a reply from Yesley Vega.
Aye.
Thank you. Benny Smith,
Aye.
Tanisha Allen,
Aye.
Ralph Smith,
Aye.
Jeanette Rischel,
Yes.
Matthew Kelly,
Yes.
Deborah Frazier,
Aye.
Todd Horsley,
Yes.
Elizabeth Guzman, sorry, I didn't hear. Thank you. And George Barker.
Aye.
Madam Chair, that resolution is approved.
Okay, we will now move into item 7.3 to authorize closed session for PRTC. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Vic Angry.
Second, Supervisor Bailey.
Moved by Supervisor Angry, seconded by Supervisor Bailey. Questions or comments from Prince William County,
No questions.
Stafford County?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Supervisor Lawson.
I'm sorry. If Ms. Pandak is on, I'm just curious if we have to read anything formal to go into close, or would that be later once we go into closed session?
Madam Chair, if I might, Supervisor Lawson is in detail absolutely correct. The motion is in your package, so it's available to the public, but it should, what you're voting on is to go into closed meeting for a personnel matter related to an appointment, and it's pursuant to 2.2-3711A1 of the state code.
And thank you, Supervisor Lawson and Ms. Pandak for that clarification.
Yeah, so maybe Supervisor Bailey can just amend her motion to reflect that.
Supervisor Bailey,
It was Supervisor Angry.
Yes.
Supervisor Angry, please.
Yes. And so I'm amending my motion based on the guidance by Ms. Pandak, what she just read. So
to go into closed session for a personnel matter.
yes.
And
ma'am.
again, I second.
Okay. Is that good enough, Ms. Pandak?
Yes, it is, Chair Franklin. And as I said, it's in the package and it's a public item. So keep going.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from Prince William County? Stafford County?
No questions.
City of Manassas?
No questions.
Manassas Park?
No questions.
Fredericksburg?
No questions.
Spotsylvania?
None.
DRPT?
No questions.
And General Assembly?
No questions.
Christine, will you please call the roll?
Victor Angry,
Aye.
Andrea Bailey,
Aye.
Margaret Franklin,
Aye.
Janine Lawson,
Aye.
Yesley Vega,
Aye.
Benny Smith,
Aye.
Tanisha Allen,
Aye.
Ralph Smith,
Aye.
Jeanette Rischel,
Yes.
Matthew Kelly,
Yes.
Deborah Frazier,
Yes.
Todd Horsley,
Yes.
Elizabeth Guzman,
Yes.
and George Barker.
Yes.
Madam Chair, that resolution is approved.
Okay. And are we now going into closed session?
Yeah, we'll start moving. You get everyone over.
Yes, just as Carl said, the people behind the scenes will start moving you all into break rooms whenever the pop-up comes up on your screen, accept the move into the break room. Benny Smith, I noticed that you're back. Did you intend to be back?
Christine,
Yes.
is this everybody?
Carl or Doris, can you confirm that the breakout room has closed?
Yeah, it looks like everybody's out of the room.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, you have in your packet a motion to certify closed meeting, and it substantively says that you only discuss those matters for which you appropriately went into closed meeting. So if you could have a motion.
Is there a motion to certify closed session, item 7.4?
Second.
Moved by
Bodie.
Supervisor Bodie, seconded by Supervisor Bailey. Is there discussion from Prince William County,
No discussion.
Stafford County,
No question.
City of Manassas,
No question.
Manassas Park,
No questions.
Fredericksburg,
No questions.
Spotsylvania,
No questions.
DRPT,
No questions.
General Assembly.
No questions.
Christine, will you please call the roll?
Victor Angry,
Aye.
Andrea Bailey,
Aye.
Kenny Bodie,
Aye.
Margaret Franklin,
Aye.
Janine Lawson,
Aye.
Yesley Vega,
Aye.
Tanisha Allen,
Aye. Sorry.
Ralph Smith,
Aye.
Jeanette Richel,
Yes.
Matthew Kelly,
Yes.
Deborah Frazier,
Aye.
Todd Horsley,
Yes.
Elizabeth Guzman,
Aye.
George Barker.
Aye.
Madam Chair, that resolution is approved.
Okay.
Madam Chair, coming out of closed meeting, you have a resolution in front of you that will be available to the public, and I will summarize it as follows. The VRE Operations Board has recommended the appointment of Steve McIsaac as the Commission's General Counsel and Chief Legal Officer for all VRE matters in accordance with an employment agreement, which you also have in front of you. And the motion is to resolve that the Commission appoints Steve McIsaac as General Counsel and Chief Legal Officer for all matters related to the VRE commuter rail service effective May 31st, 2021, upon action by each of the commissions and execution of the employment agreement by the commissions and Mr. McIsaac, and that the Potomac Rappahannock Transportation Commission approves the employment agreement and authorizes its chair to execute it on behalf of the commission. So if we could have a motion and a second of that motion.
Is there a motion to move Mr. McIsaac's appointment forward?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, Jeanette Richel from Manassas Park.
Moved by Vice Chair Richel. Is there a second?
Lawson, second.
Seconded by Supervisor Lawson. Is there any questions or discussion from Prince William County,
No discussion.
Stafford County,
No.
City of Manassas,
No question, no discussion.
Manassas Park,
None, thank you.
Fredericksburg,
No questions.
Spotsylvania,
No questions.
DRPT,
No, no questions.
General Assembly. Christine, will you please call the roll?
Victor Angry,
Aye.
Andrea Bailey,
Aye.
Kenny Bodie,
Aye.
Margaret Franklin,
Aye.
Janine Lawson,
Aye.
I'm tired. My eyes are.
Yesley Vega,
Aye.
Tanisha Allen,
Aye.
Ralph Smith,
Yes.
Jeanette Richel,
Yes.
Matthew Kelly,
Yes.
Deborah Frazier,
Aye.
Todd Horsley,
Yes.
Elizabeth Guzman,
Yes.
George Barker.
Aye.
Madam Chair, that resolution is approved.
Thank you so much. Congratulations to Mr. McIsaac, and I'm not sure if he has any comments he would like to make.
Madam Chair, thank you very much. I want to thank the commission from the bottom of my heart. I think this has been a long process, and I appreciate the attention that all of you have paid to it. And I'm very pleased with the result, and I look forward to working with you or continuing to work with you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Just want to point out the information items for 7.5 that you can read. If there are any questions, please direct them to Mr. Dalton. We'll now move into item 8, public comment time. Christine, were there any comments submitted?
Yes, we have 2 comments that were submitted. The first is from Jeff Mankey. Would PRTC consider resuming the L300 Lake Ridge to Mark Center bus line in the near future? I used this valuable service from the Heckinger or Route 123 I-95 interchange commuter lots to get to work in a timely manner. No other public transportation options are viable for me, as they more than double the length of my commute time. Many people working in the vicinity of the Mark Center will face the same predicament. My only other option is to commute by car. On a good traffic day, it will be faster to drive my car than take a bus to the Pentagon and have to wait for and hop on another bus to my destination at the Mark Center. Driving a car will only add to the traffic and pollution. I would hope PRTC will consider resuming the L300 Lake Ridge to Mark Center bus line so I can do my part to alleviate traffic congestion and pollution. A bus line from the Horner Road commuter lot to the Mark Center would not be a viable option. Jeff Mankey. And the second comment is from Rita Kreger. Hi, my name is Rita. Me and my husband have been longtime riders. We love OmniRide buses. We love the new look on your buses with the covers wraps. Do you know when you will be applying all the buses with covers wraps? I'm sure we aren't the only ones who would like to know. Please answer in the board meeting on YouTube. Thank you. We also watch all board meetings so we know what's going on in the community and upcoming plans. Thank you for all that you do for our community, the Kregers.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And then, we may have to get back to you on the Mark Center, but I'm assuming at some point we'll resume all commuter service. But Mr. Schneider, if you can just address, or if you can address those during your comments, even if that means saying that we'll get back to them with regards to those issues, I think that'll be helpful. For now, we'll move to item 9, the consent agenda. 9.1 is approval of the consent agenda. 9.2 is acceptance of the PRTC monthly jurisdictional financial report that we do each month. So is there a motion to move the consent agenda forward?
So move, Madam
Ralph
Chair.
Smith, yeah.
Moved by Supervisor Bailey. Is there a second?
Second, Smith.
Seconded by Councilman Ralph Smith. Is there discussion from Prince William County,
No discussion, Madam Chair.
Stafford County, City of Manassas,
None.
Manassas Park,
No questions.
Fredericksburg,
No questions.
Spotsylvania,
No questions.
DRPT,
No questions.
General Assembly.
No questions.
Christine, will you please call the roll?
Victor Angry,
Aye.
Andrea Bailey,
Aye.
Kenny Bodie,
Aye.
Margaret Franklin,
Aye.
Janine Lawson,
Aye.
Yesley Vega,
Yes.
Tanisha Allen,
Aye.
Ralph Smith,
Yes.
Jeanette Rischel,
Yes.
Matthew Kelly,
Yes.
Deborah Frazier,
Yes.
Todd Horsley,
Yes.
Elizabeth Guzman,
Yes.
George Barker.
Yes.
Madam Chair, that resolution is approved.
Okay. We'll now move into executive director's time. I'll turn it over now to Mr. Schneider.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. There were no specific follow-up items from last month's meeting. OmniRide and VRE did, however, have FTA perform their triennial review during April. It was postponed by 1 year due to COVID-19, so it was a review of the past 4 years of activity. Our staff did an excellent job with VRE and PRTC both making significant strides from the last review and achieved the extremely rare no findings in the areas of procurement. I stress this is an exceptionally rare occurrence across the country and is reflective of our focus on compliance and improvement of processes. We had several small procedural findings in areas, including one that is before you this evening to retroactively approve that we conducted our Title VI analysis for the Haymarket services that launched in 2018. The analysis was done with no adverse impacts, but the information was inadvertently left out of the resolution in 2018, but FTA still wants this to be approved by the commission and this box checked. A second procedural finding is that we had a full but not abbreviated EEO plan, which is ironic because they said we had more information than they wanted and instead wanted us to create a shorter plan referencing their circular. Again, this is procedural. Two other procedural items included the revised standards for transit asset management planning or TAM plans and the documentation for the drug and alcohol testing certifications for 2020, which was confusing because of the changes from First Transit to Keolis. So across two organizations, literally thousands of pages of submitted materials, millions of federal dollars spent, thousands upon thousands of individual and group decisions since 2017, and we had a total of 4 procedural items that were identified. And they were all addressed and responded to in less than 10 business days. FTA currently has the information, and we will await their next step, which will be in their draft letter that allows those items to be, which will be in their draft letter, but hopefully those items will be resolved and potentially closed before the final letter is drafted. 2 more items I wanted to address include an accident on I-66 on April 22nd. Our bus was traveling in the HOV lane on I-66 inbound when a semi crossed the double solid line directly in front of the bus to avoid rear-ending the car in front of them. There were minor injuries to passengers and driver and a severe traffic backup. We're thankful for the Fairfax County Police, the Virginia Highway Patrol, EMS, and the OmniRide staff that responded to the incident. With no severe injuries, we are focused on getting the bus back in service, repaired and back in service. Second, the sidewall of a storm drain collapsed at our Woodbridge facility bus yard, and the surrounding dirt fell into the cavity to create a hole in the asphalt. We are working with Prince William County and a local engineering firm to remedy this, but also inspect the full stormwater system for any signs of additional fatigue or failure. These were installed approximately 25 years ago, and so we are taking that extra step to ensure the safety of the equipment and the workforce. There has been no impact on services, and we have cordoned off the area for safety and rerouted bus traffic out of an abundance of caution, and we'll continue to update you on any significant issues as they emerge. Additionally, I did want to mention that staff has already contacted our customer regarding the OmniRide brand deployment. It is really an issue of cost. We have been using a drip campaign such that as new buses come in, they come in rebranded, and we use pockets of revenue and opportunity to what I call repeal the teal. We're thrilled that customers have embraced our approach. I'll include the staff response in the commissioner post-meeting update for you as well. We've already communicated with that passenger, and we're glad they love our new design. The public comment for Vanpool and for the interest in the Mark Center route came in just after our deadline for our last meeting, but we didn't wait a month to respond. Staff has already contacted this passenger and is working through some possibilities for Vanpools as a near-term opportunity, as well as different transit solutions. Additionally, tonight we celebrate the 4th class from our internal OmniRide mentoring program known as M4. The mentoring program is designed to create new connections of trust, teamwork, and relationships that help guide employees and offer everyone a chance to lead. I initiated the program in 2018, and we've had guest speakers in the region from the industry, and most recently our own chair, Supervisor Franklin. I'll turn it over to Cynthia Porter-Johnson and Holly Morello to speak a little bit more about this class, but also what's coming up for the next group.
Thank you, Bob, and good evening, Madam Chair Franklin and members of the board. My name is Holly Morello, and I'm the TDM Program Manager at OmniRide. One of my side gigs at OmniRide is the mentorship program, and I have been a coach since the program's inception in the fall of 2018. Bob and I were the coaches for the first program, and after a successful launch, Bob stepped back, and Cynthia Porter-Johnson and I have been the coaches for the last 2 years. When we started the program, we included employees from both OmniRide and First Transit, and this year one of our mentors is from Keolis. At this point, almost 50 people have completed the mentoring program. The OmniRide mentorship program is ultimately about developing a team of positive, constructive leaders that are better prepared to take advantage of whatever opportunities come their way. The program also provides the benefit of building a culture of mutual support and respect that is critical for successful organizations. And on a personal note, I want to say that I get so much enjoyment from this program. I love working with and supporting the mentors and the mentees, and I especially value the relationship that I've been able to build with my fellow coach. Cynthia and I work in different departments, and if not for this program, I most likely wouldn't have the opportunity to work as closely with her as I've been privileged to be able to do. And we've already started talking about the next class. We'll kick off in September. We've got some really exciting things planned. So please, everyone, stay tuned. And I'll turn it over to Cynthia.
Hi, good evening, Madam Chair Franklin and members of the commission. As Holly mentioned, my name is Cynthia Porter Johnson, and I'm a project manager here at OmniRide. And just as she shared, it has truly been an honor for me to be a coach for the OmniRide mentoring program. It is so rewarding to work with Holly as well as my fellow coworkers and also our contractor, Keolis. And I just would like to mention for the M4 class, the pandemic did force us to have to do some things differently. However, this only made us think much more creatively. And so despite the fact that all of our events were held virtually, in my opinion, this has been one of the most successful mentoring classes that we've had. And part of that success has had to do with the events that we've had. And we just would like to take this opportunity again to thank Madam Chair Franklin for taking the time to join us for our Spotlight Speaker Series event. It was just wonderful to learn more about you and the work that you do inside and outside of Prince William County, and also here at PRTC. So we just want to say your sharing was so inspiring and informative. And so tonight, we're so excited for the M4 mentees that are graduating. They are an awesome group. They've been a joy to work with. They've been so engaged in every aspect of this program with the book that we've had, reflection papers, lunch and learns. We're so proud of them and all that they have accomplished during this time on a personal and professional level. And they have especially worked hard on the mentee project. So right now, I'm happy to introduce one of our mentees, Luis Ortiz. He's going to share his experiences being part of the M4 mentoring class and also provide an update on the mentee project. Thank you so much for allowing me this time to share this great program with all of you. Have a good evening.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. As Cynthia mentioned, my name is Luis Reinaldo Ortiz Sanchez, and on behalf of the M4 mentees, I wish to thank you for your continued support for this program. And in my opinion, one of the distinguishing characteristics of PRTC, it's its strong commitment towards its employees. I always found interesting that PRTC has been able to retain such a significant number of employees for a considerable period of time. It seems that every month we celebrate a 10, a 15, a 20, or a 25-year anniversary. And I believe that part of the reason for this is that the organization has always prioritize the development of its internal talent. So the mentorship program is a reflection, a natural extension of that organizational value, one that gives the employees the guidance and the tools necessary to grow both as an individual and as a professional, and simultaneously also prepares the next generation of leaders that may be called by PRTC or whatever the future takes us. So in regards to the project, the M4 class decided to carry out 2 projects. First, the donation of hygiene kits to homeless shelters within Prince William County. A total of 124 kits were assembled and delivered in late April to Axe and the Hilda Bard Shelter. And the second project was the establishment of a free library at the OmniRide Transit Center. So this last project is still ongoing. We recently found a cabinet that could one, protect its content, second, withstand the Virginia weather, and third, that it satisfied a number of concerns that were brought forth by a number of stakeholders. And we hope to have this free library in service on the breezeway within the next few weeks. So again, thank you very much for this opportunity, and hope you have a nice night.
Okay, and I think it's back to me. One thing that we do as part of the mentoring program is a project. And the reason we try to do something that either benefits the community or the organization, because the opportunity to identify, define, troubleshoot, problem solve, and of course contribute is part of that mentoring process and that growth process. Frequently you have employees that they tend to end up being at the downstream end of projects and activities. Instead, this gives them a leadership opportunity and puts them upstream as a decision maker and really guides. And we've had some amazing projects over the past couple of years, including a back to school project. The first one was just trying to brighten up the breezeway in which every employee came and went, but this one's for our passengers. So it's very altruistic, and the group hasn't really done anything for themselves or to try to make things better to work in. They've always done something for others, including, focus on operations, etc. So it's just a different way to think about it, and we're very proud of them. So for our official graduation, I'd like to recognize our mentees, Ivana Baez, who's in the marketing department, Sheila Dancel in the finance department, Luis Ortiz, who is in the planning department on his second round with us. He was with us a few years ago in as a professional development fellow, and then went to 2 other transit systems before returning back to us, and Jada Tuitt, who works in our customer service department at the front desk. In addition, I wanted to offer a heartfelt thank you and appreciation to Holly and Cynthia for their ongoing passion for this project, but also thank you to the mentors who carve out the time and space to help our employees grow. They squeeze these activities in during the day, and they remain committed to helping the mentees carve time out through their day. It's very easy to let those kinds of things slip by. The mentees are Becky Mariner in our Human Resources Department, Christine Rodrigo, who you all know well here, Janae Muller-Time in our Customer Service Department, and Tony Gray with Keolis. So congratulations, well deserved. I'm looking forward to lending and taking a book in the next couple of weeks. Brief announcements. Next week on March 12th, we'll be having a ribbon cutting for our new commuter buses at the facility to celebrate several of those OmniRide Express buses. So the invitation's been sent out. We'll continue to remind you and promote that activity, and join us as we cut the ribbon and enjoy a ride on this brand new vehicle if time is in your schedule for that. This is funded by the I-395 Commuter Choice Program, which you will hear more about this evening. So it helps connect dots and those impacts. And I wanted to remind everyone of the National Bike to Work Day 20th anniversary on May 21st. This may be adjusted should there be an increase in COVID-19 numbers. And the slide here has the brochure along with the 7 different pit stops in Prince William County. At this point, I will turn things over to Barbara Murdoch, our General Manager with Keolis, for the Keolis operational update.
Thanks, Bob, and good evening, Commissioners. Just a couple of brief things. We're laser focused over the next couple of months on a new run bed and also the opening of our new facility. Starting tomorrow, our run bids will be posted to employees, and this has really been a collaborative effort this time around with PRTC leadership, Keolis, and our union. Employees will be able to pick their work by June the 7th, and that's the day that we'll be starting service from the new facility. Our team is working hard on logistics. We have to move 50 to 60 employees there, buses there, parts and furniture, of course. So hopefully by the end of May, our next board meeting, we'll have a lot to tell you from our new facility. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Barbara. Doing a great job, especially as we shift through. Moving into a brand new facility is tough, but doing it while you're trying to keep the old one open is even tougher. So it's quite the challenge, and this group is up to it, no question. Did want to reference an industry article. The Alexandria mayor proposes fare-free dash buses for all. As you recall, we put in our budget for this fiscal year for fare-free on our local and Metro Express services, commuter services. We will continue to collect a fare, but this follows an interesting trend around the country. Richmond is doing 1 year of, really the proper terminology is zero fare instead of free, because it's not free, it's a zero fare endeavor. But Charlottesville has also taken on that approach, and they've budgeted, I believe, a 3-year commitment to operate zero fare. And especially in our region, it's one of those frustrating things that we identified early on when I arrived here is the federal government takes our wealthiest employees and exports them out of our county. And then we have fares that are very similar to what Metrobus fares are without the frequency, but those residents are here inside the community. So this helps provide some, at least in this year. Alexandria is following suit, and we may see more and more transit systems across this country take that approach. This will become even more of an interesting question because Metro and their fare collection system is about to have a serious upgrade. And that cost to us on capital services alone, if we were to purchase in bulk, would be somewhere north of $4 million. So it raises that question of how much money are we going to spend to collect fares? And as the technology of fare collection continues to grow and continues to grow, we have to match and marry those things up. And that's just something we're paying attention to. And we're going to spend this next 6 months to a year to evaluate and make some strong decisions and recommendations about what the board may do for the future. But we're not alone in this endeavor. We have Alexandria to the north, Richmond, and Charlottesville. So the major metropolitan areas are really examining this. And that article is a great description of what to look at. With that, Madam Chair, I return the floor to you.
Okay, thank you. Just want to thank our mentors or those part of the mentoring program. I did have a great discussion and looking forward to hopefully having that discussion again sometime soon. And I hope that some of the other commissioners can also participate in that. So thank you for having me, and congratulations to our mentees there. So thank you. And thank you, Ms. Murdoch, for your updates and everything that you're doing with Keola's. Are there any questions for Mr. Schneider from Prince William County? Stafford County? City of Manassas?
No.
Manassas Park?
No questions.
Fredericksburg?
No questions.
Spotsylvania?
No questions.
DRPT?
No.
General Assembly?
No questions.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll now move into item 11, the commuter choice program update, and just want to note the time. We're about at 8:44 now. Hopefully we don't go to 11:44, but just want us to be mindful of the time there. So thank you.
Great. Good evening. I will try to crank up the speed just a little bit here. So thanks for having me this evening. I'm Ben Owen from NVTC. Glad to be back with you tonight after a couple of busy months for our team. I will be providing a short briefing this evening on the evaluation results and our programming recommendations for commuter choice on the I-395-95 corridor round 2. Next slide, please. So first, just a quick recap of where we were in March. At that point, last time I was with you virtually, at that point, we'd completed our eligibility review and identified 13 eligible applications covering much of the corridor with a total funding request of $21.9 million. Now, these 13 applications each falls into one of 3 general and compelling categories. The first being enhancements to local bus routes in the northern part of the corridor to provide 15-minute or better service throughout the day, at least on weekdays, thereby improving connections with Metro Rail, jobs and services for commuters throughout the day. And this is possible because tolls are collected in the express lanes at all times. The second category is a range of efforts to rebuild ridership post-pandemic and prepare for expected future travel patterns. So these projects in this category include park and ride lot expansions in Prince William and Spotsylvania counties, financial incentives through Vanpool Alliance to rebuild Vanpool ridership in the corridor, and a new VRE feeder bus route in the Fredericksburg area. And third category is continuations of new and enhanced Fairfax Connector and OmniRide bus services, a total of 6 different routes funded in round 1 and currently in operation, 2 additional years of support for these to provide predictability and continuity for commuters as they return to work sites. We do expect full funding of $30 million over the 2 fiscal years of the program. A lot of the focus this time around was transit service. Many of the new and enhanced bus service projects include capital expenses like bus purchases and park and ride and bus stop improvements. One thing we will need to watch for future rounds of funding is that the overall share of program funding going to transit operations is limited per our memorandum of agreement with the Commonwealth to 50% of our funding over any 5-year period. So with what we funded in round 1 and all the proposals in round 2, we're getting close to that 50% cap, but we're still beneath it. In terms of breakdown between NVTC and PRTC, a bit more of a total funding request among NVTC jurisdictions and transit providers, but more eligible proposals among PRTC jurisdictions and transit providers. Pivoting into evaluation, this slide shows the technical evaluation process that the commissions adopted last November. 70 of the 100 points have to do with how well proposed projects meet corridor improvement goals of moving more people and creating viable, effective transportation options. Really, the most important factor anywhere in the evaluation process is person throughput. And the way this is calculated is it's looking at the number of additional people moved by the project in the peak period, peak direction, relative to the number of vehicle trips needed to move those people. We have smaller categories among the criteria for annualized cost effectiveness, applicant preference, basically allowing each applicant to pick their top priority and receive 10 points for it of the applications they submit, and then 5 points for applications that can demonstrate support or collaboration from other entities in the region. Here are the top level scoring results. You also have a more detailed table with the meeting materials. Couple remarks on scoring. One is that a couple of our factors and criteria, specifically person throughput and cost effectiveness, are more or less graded on a curve. That's why you see roughly equal numbers of projects with each quantity of points under those two. Person throughput is based on the opening year of each project. Obviously, COVID-19 and the travel pattern changes wrought by that are still a factor. And so we've worked with applicants to ensure that their opening year figures are reasonable based on how they expect ridership and usage to rebound. Travel time savings, we had a hard time measuring this time because during the pandemic, sort of the reference trips, basically we're comparing the travel time on a typical trip using a project to what it would take to drive, not paying a toll. Because of COVID-19 and fewer people commuting, drive times were lower. That's why you see zeros in that column for most projects, but we do expect projects will deliver travel time benefits as traffic picks back up. And we do think all the proposals are strong candidates for funding overall. Taken together, they would move about 1,000 more people inbound through the corridor each morning upon full implementation and as travel patterns in the corridor revert to more typical conditions. Next slide, please. So the staff recommendation, which was agreed to by the Joint Commission Working Group at their meeting a couple weeks ago, that group is sort of a subcommittee of sorts with 3 commissioners apiece from your commission and 3 commissioners apiece and 3 commissioners from NVTC as well. That group's recommendation was to fund all 13 eligible proposals, given that all support the corridor improvement goals and can fit within the $30 million expected to be available. This will be subject to the public comment that we will be receiving on the proposals, and that comment period is open right now. We would include our administrative costs for the 2-year period, a total of $800,000 or about 3.5% of the overall funding amount as part of the proposed program. In terms of what else is coming up, public comment has been open since April 16th. We held a virtual town hall meeting last week on the 28th to provide further information on the program and proposals. Your agenda item includes a link to the recording should you wish to view that. We have received 21 comments so far. We'll be wrapping up public comment a little bit later this month on the 17th. We will be sharing the full set of comments with you and the CTB before adoption of a program, which is expected to take place next month. Once the commissions and the CTB act to approve a program, next month we would be distributing project agreements to selected applicants for selected projects so that they can begin implementation with the start of the next fiscal year on July 1st. So that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions you might have.
Are there any questions from Prince William County?
No questions, Madam Chair.
Any questions from Stafford County?
No questions.
City of Manassas?
No questions.
Manassas Park?
None, thank you.
Fredericksburg,
No questions.
Spotsylvania,
No questions.
DRPT,
No questions.
General Assembly.
No questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Owen. Anything else to add?
I think I'm good. Thank you for having me, and look forward to coming back to you next month with a proposed slate of projects for your adoption.
Thank you so much. We'll now move into item 12. This is an approval of the service equity analysis for the Haymarket to Roslyn bus route. This is an equity analysis that was inadvertently omitted when the Haymarket service was approved back in 2018. And I'm going to turn to Mr. Schneider to give more information about that.
Yes, thank you very much. Just to explain what the service equity analysis is, the Federal Transit Administration requires, as part of Title VI programming, that whenever we change routes over a certain amount of hours, mileage, or distance, we must look and see whether we are having an adverse effect on low income or minority communities. In this instance, we did the analysis. We were not having that impact. Normally, when we draft a resolution, this is part of the resolution step. This was a unique resolution that it included multiple items, including our TDM and TDMP. So a different employee took on the mantle of writing that resolution and forgot to include that. The equity analysis was in fact performed. We just did not include that in your resolution. To be clear, we're not asking for any additional funding, any additional services, anything like that. As a matter of fact, our focus is on maintaining what we can. We have maintained service through the pandemic. We're looking at possible adjustments just to get through the summertime on some routes, but on a permanent basis, the Haymarket route will remain pretty much as is, save for the pandemic. So again, no more new resources being deployed, no additional ask for funding. This is a procedural step.
Okay, are there any questions about this from Prince William County?
No questions, Madam Chair.
Okay. Stafford County,
No questions.
Manassas, City of Manassas?
No, thank you.
Manassas Park,
None, thank you.
Fredericksburg,
No questions.
Spotsylvania,
None.
DRPT,
No questions.
and the General Assembly.
No questions.
Christine, will you please call the roll?
Victor Angry,
Aye.
Andrea Bailey,
Aye.
Kenny Bodie,
Aye.
Margaret Franklin,
Aye.
Janine Lawson,
Aye.
Yesley Vega,
Aye.
Tanisha Allen,
Aye.
Ralph Smith,
Yes.
Jeanette Rischel,
Yes.
Matthew Kelly,
Yes.
Deborah Frazier,
Yes.
Todd Horsley,
Yes.
Elizabeth Guzman,
Aye.
and George Barker.
Aye.
Madam Chair, that resolution is approved. I didn't write down who made the motion for that.
Actually,
I just had the same question, Madam Chair.
I don't think there was a motion.
I move to accept this resolution.
And I believe I seconded that.
So
Madam
made
Chair,
by Supervisor,
you might ask whether anybody wants to change their vote, and I think we would be fine.
is there anyone wishing to change their vote? Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Supervisors Bailey and Lawson.
My pleasure.
All right, we'll now move into item 13, chair's time. The only thing I have of substance is just want us to be thinking about our July meeting. It gets into a little bit of an issue sometimes because of the 4th of July weekend. So just be thinking about whether you're going to be traveling or not. and to maybe let me know if we need to move that meeting date around some. So just be thinking about that a little bit. Also, just again, want to acknowledge the mentoring program that we have here at PRTC. Want to thank the program for inviting me to speak. I thought it was a very good conversation. Even though they were asking me questions, I think I'd like to learn more about those that are part of the program. So hopefully there will be an opportunity to do so. Also, just want to thank our PRTC and Keolis employees just for all the work that they've been doing over the past month. I think we had an event that we had to postpone, but I've been probably to the transit center more than I've ever been before. And so I just want to thank Keolis and for PRTC staff for arranging those opportunities for us to be involved with what's going on there. I was also asked to come and meet with another part of the operation with some of the supervisors. And so looking forward to scheduling that. And I just encourage our other commissioners to also take that opportunity as well. And you don't need an event to go. If you want to just go and say hello to some of the employees, I'm sure Bob can arrange that. And I'm sure people will be happy to see the commission there. So thank you for that. Also want to thank Supervisor Bailey for attending the D&I working group meeting. I think it's good to have a member of the commission there to show that this commission is very serious about diversity and inclusion, and then also just to get a sense of kind of what some of the important issues are that are happening internally. I think that's important, so thank you for that. And then also just want to send my regards to those involved in the accident involving one of our buses. Want to send my regards to the bus driver, as well as if there are any passengers as well. So we know that sometimes things happen, and we do appreciate the service out there, and hopefully that everyone is safe and recovering. And with that, that is all I have. And now we will go into item 14, which is commissioner's time. We'll have Christine call the roll. If you have an update, feel free to speak, and if not, feel free to pass. With that, Christine, I'll turn it over to you.
And we'll start with Victor Angry.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Madam Chair. Just real quick, Bob, thank you for introducing us to your mentorship program. And thank you to all of you who spoke. You did a fantastic job. I love what's going on there. And then secondly, welcome Steve to the team. So thank you, Madam Chair. That's it.
Andrea Bailey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to say, Steve, welcome to the team. Also wanted to say I did attend the diversity and inclusion session, and it was wonderful, and they were very welcoming, and I look forward to supporting and serving in this capacity. And thank you to Dr. Snyder for your support for the mental health walk this weekend, and your support is valued, and so we appreciate you getting citizens there. Thank you.
Kenny Bodie.
Thank you so much. Just wanted to echo my colleague, Steve. Welcome aboard. We're sure you're going to be a great addition to the team. Also wanted to thank Madam Chair and Supervisor Bailey for meeting with the folks with the D&I program and making sure that folks know that we especially now value diversity and inclusion more than ever in the organization. Just one little thing for me. I had a chance to go by the Gander Mountain vaccination site actually this morning. Had a chance to talk to some folks there, and something they highlighted for us is that OmniRide is doing a great job helping get people to that vaccination site. As I understand it, we do make some accommodations for folks to get to and from that vaccination site, especially right now that we ramped up our efforts. So just want to make sure that it is not lost on the people in the community that OmniRide is stepping up to help people when it comes to transporting to get vaccines. Thank you so much, Madam Chair.
Janine Lawson.
Thank you. I'll pass.
Yesli Vega.
No comment.
Kalai Kandasamy. Kim Short.
Thank you, and welcome to Steve to the team. I'm sure we're going to enjoy having you full time now. Thank you.
Benny Smith.
No comment.
Tanisha Allen.
No comment.
Ralph Smith.
I'll pass.
Jeanette Rischel,
Want to say thank you to Supervisor Bailey for her DEI participation, and I hope wonderful month.
Daryl Moore, Matthew Kelly,
No comment.
Deborah Frazier,
No questions.
Todd Horsley,
No comments.
Elizabeth Guzman,
No comments.
and George Barker.
Pass.
Madam Chair, that concludes commissioners' time.
Thank you so much. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn, Madam Chair, Supervisor. Bailey.
Second.
Whoa, that was very aggressive. Okay. Moved by Supervisor Bailey, seconded by, I believe that's Supervisor Allen.
Correct.
Okay, all in favor? All
Aye.
opposed?
Abstain.
Abstain. Okay, we'll see you all next month.
Thanks so much, everyone. Have a good night. Thanks as always.
Take care.